Should you be using cardboard in your landscape or garden? Is it beneficial for soil health and does it help deter weeds? Does cardboard help hold water in the soil layer? There's a lot of pros, cons, and myths about using cardboard in the landscape or the garden. In this video, we hope to answer just a small portion of those questions and dispel some of the myths associated with using cardboard in your landscape or garden. Hi, I'm Dr. Tom Warren, and you're watching The Plant Doctor. Let's get started. Cardboard is good at suppressing weeds from the bottom side up and the top side down. What do I mean by that? In areas where you're just looking for weed suppression in general, like this bed here where I don't have any other plants planted, you can put down a piece of cardboard. And for example here, there's a little bit of Bermuda grass coming up right here. I really don't have to worry about the Bermuda grass once I put the cardboard down on top of it. We come back over the top with some pine straw. Any seed that falls down on the cardboard here is not going to germinate as well. So anything that's already underneath there, if it does germinate, it's not going to get any sunlight, so it's not going to get very far. Anything that lands on top, any seed that lands on top of the cardboard is not going to have soil contact either. And one of the things that most seeds need, there are a few exceptions, but most seeds need soil contact in order to germinate. And with the cardboard here, that's not going to happen. So one thing that I want to address here, cardboard is hydrophobic until it's hydrophilic. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's just take a look at this real quick. If you put water on cardboard, you can see it just runs off. Okay, so think about this from a plant's perspective. If we were to use this as a weed barrier and we cut a hole in this and we plant a plant, all the water that hits this is going to run off. So this is the entire premise around a cardboard boat race. So if you've ever seen a cardboard boat race, you know that all the boats will float for 5 or 10 minutes because this stuff is hydrophobic. But eventually the water will soak into this. It will become hydrophilic, meaning that the water will absorb into it and those boats sink. So know that if you're going to use this as a weed barrier around garden plants or around your ornamental plants in the yard, that you do not want this drying out. You'll want to put this down and then you'll want to saturate it, make sure it's soaked in real good, put mulch over the top of it, and then it's going to hold some of that moisture down on it. But you never want it to dry out because you see what happens here when it dries out. The water just runs right off of it. Perhaps what cardboard can be best used for in the garden or landscape is to kill existing weeds or to kill existing turf. For example, if I wanted to extend this bed line out 3 feet and I did not want to use chemicals, I didn't want to spray it with Roundup, and I did not want to use a tiller, I want to use a no-till method. One thing that you could do is take cardboard, lay it out 2 or 3 feet, take weed fabric stakes, secure the cardboard down on the ground with the weed fabric stakes, give it 2 to 4 weeks, and that grass is going to be dead. And then from there, I can extend my mulch out and plant in this area. I think one of the most common misconceptions about cardboard is that as this breaks down, it's going to provide nutrients for your plants. If we were to take a sample of this and send it off to a lab and they run it through mass spectrometry and they tell us the components of this cardboard, what we're going to find out is this. The 3 main ingredients of fertilizer, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, it has less than 1% of each of those in it. So this is very low in nutrients for the plant. You're not going to get any nutritional benefit to your plants by putting down cardboard on the ground. How long does it take cardboard to decompose in the garden or the landscape? That's a complex question to a complex topic and answer. So just in general, it depends. If you're in a very humid, wet environment like I am here in the southeastern United States, it could decompose in 6 months to a year. If you're in a more arid environment, say you're in the desert Southwest, you're in Arizona or Nevada or somewhere like that, it's probably going to take more than a year, maybe up to 2 years for it to fully decompose. So why is that? Well, cardboard is mainly just carbon. It has a lot of carbon in it. There's very little nitrogen in it. There's tons of videos out on YouTube about composting, and you hear all the composters talking about a 30-to-1 carbon to nitrogen balance to get the fastest amount of decomposition possible. And if I'm not mistaken, this is like 600 or 700 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. So the ratio here in the cardboard just makes it to where it's going to take a very, very long time for it to decompose. If you're looking to add nutrients to your garden by decomposition, you're a whole lot better off using something like pine bark mulch or pine straw, or even the compost from your yard, your grass clippings, your leaf clippings, and you've been turning those over and you've got good decomposition going on, you're a whole lot better off using that compared to using something like cardboard. There's a lot of debate on whether or not putting down cardboard is going to suppress gas exchange between the atmosphere and the soil. So plants need oxygen in order to survive. I know that sounds counterintuitive maybe to your 8th grade biology class. What you learned is that CO2 goes into the leaf and then oxygen comes out of the leaf. And that's true, but plants also take up oxygen through their roots. So they need to be able to have exchange with the air in order to be able to survive. So if we go putting a bunch of cardboard in and around the root mass of these hostas, is it going to interfere with gas exchange? So I did find some peer review on this. I'll make sure to leave that link down in the description below so you can follow up on this controversial topic. The peer review suggests that if you already have wet, muddy soil, so they're borderline anaerobic anyway, that adding a layer of cardboard would make your soils anaerobic. It would slow down the gas exchange between the atmosphere and the soil layer. Here where I'm at, I live on what's known as Sand Mountain. As the name suggests, I'm 80 to 90% sands here in the soil. It's very well drained. It's very aerobic soil. I think I could get away with putting down some cardboard in and around these hostas and it would not hurt them at all. So does cardboard interfere with gas exchange? Well, here again, it depends on your soil type. Look at your soil type and then make a determination from there. A word of caution with using cardboard. If you have an issue with termites in your area, you may not want to use cardboard at all. Think about the areas that termites love to live in. They love cool, damp places, and they need some sort of food. Their food is cellulose. So they feed on wood, they feed on cardboard, anything with cellulose in it, they're going to eat. So really, if we put down the cardboard, we rake back this straw, we put down the cardboard, we put the straw back on top of it, we've created a cool, damp spot that is just a haven for termites. Now, I don't want you to think like if your neighbor across the street has termites, they're going to come across the street hunting your cardboard. That's not the case. But if you've had issues with termites in the past on your property, perhaps this is not the solution for you. A question that I have received from time to time is, Dr. Warren, if we look at this cardboard, it's not all just cardboard. There's ink on it, there's tape on it. How does that impact my garden? How does that impact my landscape? Well, in the United States, and I believe Europe is the same way, all of our inks have been plant-based inks, so these are safe for the environment. This black ink here is not going to hurt anything. The tape on boxes really aren't going to hurt anything either. So the tape here is eventually going to decompose as well. There's nothing toxic about tape, but it will take longer for tape to break down than it does cardboard. So you may see some decomposing tape on top of your mulch as this begins to break down. And if you have mulch or pine straw on top of it, that begins to break down. The only thing that might be left are little fragments of tape. And it's not aesthetically pleasing, but at the same time, it's really not going to hurt anything either. So you can see there's many pros and cons of using cardboard. And I think everybody's situation is situational dependent. Should you use it or should you not use it? I think it depends on your soil type. I think it depends on the application you're using it for and for the duration that you're using it for as well. So there's a lot of different variables here that we need to consider when using cardboard in the garden and the landscape. If you've used cardboard in your garden or landscape, let us know below the results that you got. Perhaps you used a method that I did not cover in this video. Please educate the rest of us on how you use your cardboard and the results that you got. Also, if you have questions about using cardboard, please leave those down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer those. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor. And until next time, happy gardening.